Hi everyone, this is Miss Genesis. Hope everyone is staying safe and indoors while still having a lot of fun. So, since we are learning about water, right? Today we're going to do an experiment about water that includes sinking or floating. So, here I have this glass container, um, and if you have something clear like glass or plastic that's clear, that's even better because you can see it from the sides, right? And it has water inside. And I have different items here, and these items we're going to see which one floats or sinks. Now, can you tell me what does it mean to float? Like what is that? What does it mean to float? So float, it's when it stays above the surface. It stays on top of the water, right? That's what floating does. So if you go to the beach and you relax your body, you close your eyes, you take a deep breath, and you get in the water and you just stay there, you will float, right? Now, what does it mean to sink? What is sinking? What is that? It's the opposite of floating, right? So when you sink, you go to the bottom of the water, right? So usually items that are like really heavy will sink and they go to the bottom of the ocean. Okay? All right. Now, right here I have a spoon, metal spoon, right? This is more like a teaspoon, like for tea and sugar and coffee. Now, it's made out of metal, right? Do you think this spoon will sink, go to the bottom of the container, or would it float? Will it stay at the top? What do you think? Remember, it's made out of metal. So the heavier the item, the most likely it is to sink, right? Do you think it will sink or float? Let's see. Nope. It went straight to the bottom, right? Why do you think it went straight to the bottom? Why did it sink? Because it's made out of a material that's really heavy, metal, right? Metal's really heavy. Like compared to paper, if I were to like cut a piece of paper right now, the paper is really light. But what do you think is going to happen with this paper? Is it going to sink or float? Let's see. So right now it's floating, right? Do you see the paper right here? Floating. Do you think it'll continue to float or do you think it'll eventually sink? Well, we will find out towards the end, right? Now here I have an orange crayon. What do you think will happen with the crayon? The crayon is usually made of like wax, right? Do you think the crayon will sink like the spoon, or do you think it will float like the paper is right now? Sink or float? Let's see. It also sunk, right? Because it's a little heavier than the water. So far, the crayon sunk, the metal spoon sunk, right? Now right here, I have this item, and we use it to eat, just like the spoon. What is this? It's a fork, right? So, is this fork the same material as the spoon? Remember, the spoon was made out of metal. What do you think this fork is made out of? Like, you could bend it a little bit. It could break easily. What material is this? Plastic, right? So just like in school, we use plastic spoons, plastic forks, because they're safer. And also because we don't have to do the dishes, right? So do you think the plastic fork will sink or float? Will it stay at the top or would it go down to the bottom? Let's see. It's actually floating, right? It's like a little bit in and a little bit out, but it's still floating. And look, the paper is still floating too. See, I don't know if you see it from there. It's right here. Right there. It's floating, right? And the fork is actually starting to sink, but it's tilted. So it's halfway in, halfway out of the water, right? Now, right here we have this. What is this? What do we use this for? It's a sponge, right? We use sponges to clean things like our dishes, right? So, sponges are special. Why? What do sponges do? Yes, they clean our dishes, but they do something else that's very cool, that's very special, right? They absorb water or soap, right? So usually when we wet a sponge, we could just have it like this under the water getting wet, and the sponge absorbs the water. And then when we go squeeze, it releases the water or the soap, right? So we're gonna see what happens. So right now, it's sinking because it's absorbing all the water, right? You see how it's halfway in, a little bit out. So the spoon is there. The crayon is sinking. The plastic fork and the paper is floating. And although the sponge absorbed water, it is floating. It's not all the way in the water. It's not all the way at the bottom. That's pretty cool, right? And then you see how all the water is coming out. So that's pretty cool. So when you squeeze it and you watch it again, it's the same process. Now right here we have a plant pot. So this is where we place little plants, like little plants of succulents. They're really tiny and really cute. This is made out of porcelain. It's like a glass, but not really, but it's heavy. So what do you think is going to happen with this one? Do you think it's going to sink? Do you think it's going to float? Now let's take a look at it. This one has a hole back here at the bottom. Why do you think it has a hole? For when we water the plants, the water, like the extra water, will come out so the plant doesn't go bad, right? So it doesn't die from too much water. So since it has a hole, do you think it's going to float or sink? Let's see. It actually sinks because it has the hole. So when you do that, you see the water goes in through the hole, which makes it sink. Plus it's also heavy. See? So if water could get in it, it could sink because it makes the item heavier. Okay? So very good. So you guys, we will see at the end. The paper ended up sinking actually just now. It's at the bottom. The spoon sunk, the crayon sunk, and the pot sunk. So the two items that didn't sink were the sponge and the plastic fork. Okay? So you guys want to continue this, you can add different items, small items, save items at home. You can use toys, like if you have Legos, you could see what happens with the Legos, if they will sink or float. Okay? Bye.